I was 15. My family and I were in Fort Myers, Florida, and there was a terrible storm on the horizon riding in on black clouds. The waves had begun crushing like a watery bulldozer, and the sea was becoming choppy. I was boogie boarding, and I went out for one last wave. Something very cold bumped into my legs. Seconds later, I went under. In this moment, I was a boiled crab getting my leg ripped off by a hungry restaurant patron, simultaneously screaming and inhaling copious amounts of salt water. I could feel something of great strength tugging me along as the sand I clawed at began to fall away from my fingertips. Something tangible and icy was wrapped around my ankle. This is the moment that I realized, amidst the struggling, that it wasn't a riptide. Something had a hold of my leg, and it was dragging me further and further from land. When I couldn't hold my breath any longer, my fight or flight kicked in. Instead of swimming away from whatever it was, I swam along with it. My head broke above the surface one time as I projectile vomited salt and took one more deep inhale. And yet, I was dragged down again, now facing the horizon. I felt that same snug, icy grip, only now on my forearm, as it continued to pull. I'd assumed I was being pulled by a giant squid, but then I opened my eyes, and what I saw was nightmarish. I was leering directly into the eyes of a little boy with dark blue lips, a pale bluish tint to his skin, and his jaw hanging open, like the corpse of a drowning victim. His bony fingers were latched to my forearms, while gazing into my soul with dead, lifeless white eyes. This boy was miraculously swimming backwards, while simultaneously pulling me to my death. Utterly frightening was the vision of his legs, paddling eerily sluggishly behind him, while swimming in the wrong direction. I pushed my feet against his chest and shot myself away and out of his grasp. The last thing I saw was the boy reaching for my legs while receding down into the black abyss, smiling at me with a toothless grin on the way down. I shuddered when I heard a humming of what sounded like some sort of demonic lullaby after he disappeared, emanating from all around me in echoes. Once my head broke the surface, and I began taking giant breaths, my eyes adjusted, and I discovered that I was maybe only 100 yards from the shore. I swam as hard and fast as I could, but fighting exhaustion, I figured I wouldn't make it until my feet touched down on the sandbar, the waves violently crashing around me and thunder rumbling overhead. I told my parents what happened, that it was a boy, a very evil boy who pulled me under. My dad says, sometimes in a stressful situation, you'll imagine things that aren't there. He never went against his conviction that I imagined it, but I saw it in his face the next morning, pure dread in his eyes, when I showed him freezer burns on my wrists and ankles in the shape of fingers. Somehow, I believe that many of those who have drowned from undertows were really drowned by something else. They just aren't alive to tell us about it.